I'm going to be taking a call or a question from a listener. I'm going to be doing this a little bit moving forward and just providing some thoughts, comments, ideas to go out and throw around. So, String, if you can load up the question.
Music first.
Hi Nesh, this is Anna, and I have a question for you regarding parenthood. So I'm a recent new parent. My baby is 8 weeks old, as you know, and I've been really struggling with kind of an identity crisis of, who am I now as a mother, and what does this all mean, still adjusting to the whole new reality. But as you can imagine, it's a huge change and a transformation physically, mentally, emotionally, sleepless nights and all of that. And I'm really struggling with, I guess, embracing this new identity and figuring out how does it all fit together? For example, time management, and how do I fit in some activities that I love to do, like going to yoga and meeting up with friends and all of that. And so how do I live my life basically now with this newborn? So any advice you have regarding that? I know, you have 2 girls, and so really curious about your own experience, but also from a psychology point of view. How can I and other new parents go through this period that I know will end one day? It just seems never ending. How can we make it easier for us? All right, thank you.
Great question. I think there's almost 2 parts to this, and that is speaking from obviously my own experience and speaking obviously from the psychological perspective. Let me maybe go with the psychological perspective to try and give this a little bit of context. There's quite a bit of contextual change that's occurred in these, last 8 weeks, going from, someone who's in some sense independent, can go out and choose whatever you'd like to do at any given point, to someone who now has huge responsibilities of looking after a dependent. So, huge responsibility changes. Massive change in sleep. Human beings don't function well whatsoever when we're not sleeping well. Just ask anyone who's had one sleepless night how they feel. That they might even feel nausea in the morning, let alone where it's ongoing back to back, and obviously we're being disturbed throughout the night. So that's going to mess with your head as well. Identity is a huge part in shifting here. I almost look at it as a sense of loss. Part of me kind of thinks about all the things that are lost in becoming a parent. I'm not suggesting that parenthood isn't, can't be wonderful and nice and beautiful, but at the same time, I think it can, bring with it some grief, pain, loss, because there's a lot of our identity that is being changed. For myself, I know that I've always enjoyed my freedom and my, desire to be impulsive and spontaneous and do what I like. I like a bit of control, a bit of a control freak, so I like to do that. And having, kids come along changes that dynamic immensely. So you're almost going from being somewhat selfish to selfless, and that's not an easy transition. And, speaking for myself, I think I'm still struggling. It's not an easy thing to do. So, it's not doesn't come to me easily. For other people, sure, they might go out and find that it's simple, but I think we don't want to be judgmental in this period. So there's also a big change in opportunity of what's available. In terms of how do you go out and adjust? I actually don't have any suggestions. I think we adjust with a great deal of discomfort and pain, and we try and do what we can. I think trying not to be judgmental is probably something I would highly recommend and push forward in terms of what's going to have usefulness. I know that lots of books go out and say you have to have this, beautiful bonding moment, the moment that, your child's born, or that, you'll know you were born to be a mother or a father or whatever. That's nonsense. Not everyone goes out and experiences these ideals. It looks great and fancy in, commercials or, television, but that's not the human case for many of us. So try not to be so judgmental, and just recognize that whatever you're feeling is okay and normal. We often talk about postnatal depression in these times. I find it very, very difficult for that to even hear that term, because it would be very, very different if I went out and said this thing called postnatal, I just broke up with my partner of 10 years depression. Because a lot of contexts are going to bring about low, difficult, painful times. So I like to try and remove these categories and just say this is a time of change, transition, and please be patient would be what I say. In terms of how to get in some social, how to get in some time to do yoga, once again, I'd say it's going to be hard. Why? Because we've got to go out and balance competing demands, competing responsibilities, which is something that is hard for us to go out and do when we've had a lifetime of individuality and deciding, what I'd like to do with my independence. So I think it's important to work as well as you can with loved ones, partner, spouse, with family who might be around, friends. I think it sometimes also changes how we do things. So sometimes we might do yoga at home rather than yoga in classes, and it's not the same thing. I get that. Having a child is not the same thing as not having a child. So there's a lot of things to adapt to. So this is an adaptation period. Be patient, be compassionate and gentle and kind with yourself, and let's try and not be judgmental. Just wish you and all the other parents out there the best in all these transitions, because it will move from being, independent to having parental responsibilities, and that'll then turn into a toddler and then a adolescent, and then one day our children will leave the nest and we'll struggle again there as well. So it's ongoing transitions, and all I can say is all the best. There isn't a right way. I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
Just want to say a big shout out to my brother String for the music.